Hello, everybody, welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator, hello, everybody, welcome. Rosa Psych Investigator. So, I know this is a very popular microphone, and no, I'm always experimenting, guys. I have the other one with that covers the ears. I honestly, I changed it. I changed it. Here it is, here, right here. This is the one that I use just for that, but I think the quality of the audio is not as good. And like and the long story, right? It if I want to engage more, I think this one is more interactive. Let's just say it, okay. And I've noticed that, of course, this little fluffy thing, it prevents the wind, any kind of wind noise to come through. So since I have both artificial wind machine and an actual fan going, um, it's good. It's good to do this. Okay. So I wanted to say also thank you for your messages and your feedback about the last video, right? So I did the last video on Friday on with Karina, and Karina always has her camera off. I decided to have for most of the video, except for the parts when I'm starting and I'm talking about the subject, I turn off the camera. And I think I was kind of tired, or sometimes I get, it happens to everybody, right? Especially this crazy time that we're living through, that you can get a little like burned out for some reason. And I was also working from home, right? And the thing about home, it is good to work from home sometimes, but you're less it's like it's hard. Sometimes it's harder to focus, I have to say. But anyway, here we are. Thank you for your feedback. I really take into consideration, right? And it wasn't that and I had mentioned that I did it because some people, so sometimes people say, oh, Rosie, you're not paying attention to Karina, blah, blah, blah. It's not that exactly. It's really more that I just wanted to see what it was like, okay, to just chat without being on. But it really, I saw how many of you commented on how much you prefer that I'm there and you feel that I'm talking to you. So I will listen to that. In part of the channel situation, or one of the reasons why I have continued to do this, and one of the reasons why I'm a little bit different sometimes from other quote unquote psychic channels, is that I am more performatic. I like that aspect. So it's good to know it's good to know where the camera is, to be honest. And when I experimented with Canva, which I will record from time to time. With Canva, you can see, it's hard to explain. You only see a tiny bit of the like the recording, so you can't really interact. It's not as interactive for some reason. Because here I could see where I am really relative to the camera, so that changes things. Okay, it's easier for the performance, truly. So okay, so that's that. And then I took a break, of course, over the weekend, like I was saying. I mentioned it, right? Maybe I have a memory problem. No, because guys, it's so intense, honestly, when you look at what's going on. And it was hard, sometimes, like I said, I this just like break to just kind of like recalibrate, I guess. And I hadn't taken a break like that for 2 days in a while. So I did that, and here I'm back. And really, I was telling somebody earlier today that even though, I do see, I am more, I guess I'm a positive person, but I see us overcoming this. But when you look at what they're planning and that stupid bill they're voting on and all of that, it's just disheartening to see how low we have come. Humanity, you think that it's just hard to believe. I mean, it's not hard to believe, is not the word. It's just shocking. And it hurts in a way, right? To see that there's people in nursing homes. 2/3 of them apparently need Medicaid, and they are wanting to cut elderly people in nursing homes. Are you kidding me? It is just so disheartening, true, right? So anyway, so sometimes it just like and it can happen. This is it, that, like I was saying about being home. It can happen that you were watching the news and you were kind of like absorbed too much, right? And sometimes because of the channel, it is not a good thing because then I think then I get too empathetic. I'm like, oh my God, how's the audience going to deal with this, and how it's just hard. But I have to be able to, it's something I have to learn. It doesn't necessarily come naturally to me, which is to step back and become more objective, right? Objective is not the word. It's sort of like you have to be detached. Detach is the word. Okay, so that was that. That was a speech for today. So let's get started. Thanks for watching. All right. Hello. Oh, hi. So I forgot to do the protection. Let's do the protection because this is a very dark subject, right? Okay. I'd like to ask for protection. A beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head. As I breathe in, I fill my lungs. As I breathe out, I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I'd like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that it create the good and only the good, and so it is. All right. So this is the one of the three topics that I have selected for today's video. There may be another video later on today. Let's just start with this one. And it's the big, beautiful bill currently in the Senate. Okay. So, so I've, as I'm sure many of you have been, maybe paying attention to, there's a lot going on and things change dramatically from day to day. And over the weekend, we saw that Thom, I got him confused. I was going to say Thom Phillips has announced retirement because Trump was pressuring him so much that he made that announcement over the weekend. And then Thom Phillips also made a pretty good speech over the weekend about how awful it is. These cuts are to his constituents. And then we see here anxious House Republicans scramble to forestall Senate's Medicaid cuts. And then, so as I was watching this, I don't even remember, was it Saturday or Sunday, that they said, that Alyssa Murkowski was not going to vote for it, but then they added something helping to kind of like help Alaska. But then today, I think the parliamentarian removed it because it doesn't fit with some sort of calculus. I don't quite understand it, to be honest. It's something technical, but that's where we are with the situation today. So this is the topic. So now let me go to the questions and address them directly. So the disaster big beautiful bill currently in the Senate, will it pass? Right, that's the big question. And it's funny. By the way, guys, I have this collection of earrings, and funny enough, these earrings I rarely ever wear them out. Never, almost never. It's just for videos. This is kind of interesting, right? But today with this outfit, I noticed there's the name of the Spanish royalty children, Infanta. For some reason, it has the Infanta look. Oh, there's this interesting paintings, right? Infanta. So, interesting information. Interesting information. Hello. So I wanted to say also that I talked to Karina over the weekend. We talked about this, and she thought that it would pass, and I started to accept it. Right, that in a way, this whole thing the calamity in some ways has to happen, as hard as it is to accept. And I wanted to say also, I had said that before, like a couple months ago or something, when it first started, when Elon Musk was even still in the government, I said it would not pass. Then, in the form, like at that moment when he was still in the government, there was all these different things happened. But now I changed. It feels that it's going to pass, yes. And in a way, so you understand, guys, it's for me, it's difficult because I have to be able to separate also how I feel about things, and how, like, does it make sense? It's outrageous, it's disgusting, but I have to separate wishful thinking from reality of it right now, as far as the bill is concerned. Okay. So in a way, it makes sense that it has to crack, like the whole thing has to come out, the cruelty, in order for things to change. That's how I understand. Okay, so well, let me do the question again today. Will this bill pass? Okay. So I saw the image of the bill as being some, like, imagine a whiteboard with a rolling cart. That's what represents the bill. And it's getting closer. But then I saw Murkowski punch, there's a lot of punches to it. And it's possible that it will pass, but it there's so many hits and so many changes to this. And then it has to go to the House. That by the time it passes, it's a shadow of what it was supposed to be, right? So then so what happens? I see that interesting. She's like, Murkowski is shocked. Why? Why is she shocked? Did it went through? Did it go through? It feels as though there's something in it that she really, so because I told you guys, she said she was not going to vote for it, but then there were threats and compromises, and she said yes. But then the compromise was that they would add something to protect Alaska, and the parliamentarian today said that it can't be done. So it could be that she's shocked by what she sees, and may put her foot down. I see there's a lot of infighting, a lot of fights, really, and it may be it may not meet the deadline because the deadline is the weekend, right? Next weekend for Trump, and he wants to push it to ram it through, but it will. I feel like it will take longer, but it may pass, but not in the form that it is right now. Um, could it be? It's say they're going to have to make so many cuts because it's not adding up really. And okay, so that's what I get now. Now let's pause here and let me add some other questions because this has brought up a couple of interesting points. So one of the really interesting developments related to this is that Trump threatened Thom Tillis, and then he decided to resign because there's a very competitive election in North Carolina next year for Senate, and he decided to resign instead. And then he made a really nice speech. I don't want to say it's really nice, but he did do that. And then what's interesting is that then Lara Trump is supposed to be running for his seat, right? And of course, obviously, no other candidate is gonna, if she decides to run, right? There's not gonna be a Republican because Trump is gonna, if the Republican Party is gonna be what it is today, she's not going to be able to. Nobody else is going to be able to primary her, right? If things remain. So I want to ask about this because it's an interesting barometer of what we're dealing with right now, right? So let's see. So let's see what's happening. So what is going to happen to the Thom Tillis seat in North Carolina? Is Lara Trump going to run for his seat, and we'll see. Will she win? Let's see. What's going to happen to North Carolina Senate seat next year? Who is going to take it? Seeing a younger guy nobody is expecting. So what's interesting, I'll tell you what I see. So I see first the image of Thom Tillis. I have a hard time pronouncing this, of course. He's like sitting like this in shame. Then I see the image of Lara Trump imagining herself as being like the Kennedys, in the car. Oh, hello, hello. She's thinking, oh, she's so excited. She's so excited. That's what she's imagining. And then I see is like a scythe coming and cutting her as if she's a Barbie doll, cuts her in half, and she falls. And then she's picking up, what happened? What happened? Picking up the pieces. So it's likely that she may not even be in the ballot. It looks like. Oh, and I see that Eric's like, oh, we gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta run, gotta run. It reminds me, guys, it's so crazy. I remember years ago when Trump, his first years, the first term, I saw Eric Trump. Is that right? I thought he was going to leave the country. So it makes sense that he would like just trying to pack. Let's go fast. She's like, oh my God, but ever so, oh, it's like, let's go, let's go. So it may be a very abrupt demise. Somebody said, put it down. No, no, I'm not sad, put it down. So it'll say, all right, so let's go to the next subjects. So I wanted to say this also that I have here it's already prepared the subjects for a lot of information about the Russian sanctions that Trump has apparently removed part of it. But I am going to focus on this topic for this video, and I'm going to create a video right after this one. I'm doing this because since I'm behind, I don't want to make it super long. I'm just going to do this one, and then I'll do another one. Okay, because I think it's easier, also clearer. Okay. All right, so let's go so the next subject is John McCain because I wanted to hear from him. I even selected his photograph. So let's do that. So, all right, so now let's go to John McCain. Now I selected him ahead of time because I knew I wanted to hear from him because he's famously, I think he knew he was sick, right? He had a brain tumor, and he voted with the Democrats for the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare. So it's very helpful to hear from him. He also spoke up about what's happening with Putin. So John McCain, we're seeing this important bill passing. Important in the worst case, the worst sense of the word, very momentous. And we see that your Republican colleagues are going to vote for it. I'm sure they'll make some changes, but it's all going to harm their own constituents. So, what is your insight? Do you have any insight for us? What's going on? So, he shows me this image of like something underground, like no, it's hard to explain. It looks like something that you see only in some paintings and dreams, but it's something like underground with under the skin. It shows under the skin of America in a way. There's these monsters, these worms, these parasites, these like disgusting things happening, and it erupts just like a wound, right? If there's pus in it, it will erupt. It can erupt, and so this has to erupt in order for things to heal, to be properly treated. And that's what it is. It's the lowest uh it's absolutely the lowest of the low. But that's what is the reality of what they want. People need to see that. And so, Jim McCain, do you have any advice? Because for me, I know I almost have a positive bias. I would think, all right, that's kind of like how I see things sometimes. What do you have to say to me about this? And no, he shows me Kamala there. She won. It's her rightful place. Keep the eyes on the prize. And what is it saying that the mask has to drop? There's people who still don't believe it or still are impacted by the propaganda. They have to see it in their own lives. And it's saying this will dramatically impact red states a lot more than blue states. And that's when things will change. Okay. So he's saying even if it looks like it's a quote unquote win for him, it will not be a win. It will be a loss, a massive loss for, of course, for the people, but also for the uh the parties is they're digging their own grave. It is horrific. And it's not as if people haven't alerted them to what's going on or if they didn't know what could happen. But in a way, they chose it, right? They chose to allow this to happen. They chose for things to come to this point. But once it's exposed, once it does pass, it does happen, it will lose force. And a lot of other terrible things. It shows me that he's crumbling. And in a way, America has to endure in the sense that we have to deal with this darkness coming out. And this is something that a lot of those Republicans, the Kochs and such, have been saying for decades that they wanted, right? And now they may get some of it, and it's not going to turn out the way they thought it would, right? It's going to be the end. All this stuff, all these things, all these ideas, they will, right? Once they become concrete, they will be discarded, right? So, okay, so that's what his message is. So, keep the eyes on the prize. Don't let them dictate the narrative. You are responsible for the narrative. Each person is. So you, Rose, is just saying Kamala is in power, right? She's going to take power. He will collapse. And that we have to kind of, it's not that we ignore what's going on, but it is what it is, right? In this sense, that's what we're dealing with. That's what's happening. And people will see. There's some that have not seen yet. They will have to see it. They have to see it so that change can happen. Okay. All right. So thank you. So okay. It's like, okay. Okay. So all right. So it's a this is part of American history. It's dark. I'm saying it's dark. And it has to kind of, in a way, saying something like breathe in all the oxygen so that it can finally extinguish itself. So, okay. All right. So this is it for now. I'll be back today even because it's all very organized and I'll record the other subjects. All right, but thanks for watching. See you very soon. Bye.